go? I know. I'll get him going. Good morning. Would you all please take your seats? Get your coffees, teas. So good morning. My name is Caroline Gross. I'm the President of our Australian Network for Plant Conservation, and I'm very thrilled to be here, to be the President, to be part of this fantastic conference that we've got going here. Today I'm just going to start off with a welcome to the conference. We'll be having some housekeeping, we'll have our very important welcome to country, and then we will have some of our dignitaries from the Toowoomba Council welcoming us to their region, and then we'll have our opening address by Professor Stephen Hopper. So, welcome to our Australian Network for Plant Conservation's 14th Australasian Plant Conservation Conference here in Toowoomba. And I'd like to acknowledge that this national network of people work and live on the many lands of our First Nations people. And I'd like to pay my respects to Elders past, present and emerging, and I'm looking forward to our welcoming to country by Shannon a little bit later. So the ANPC has been promoting and working for plant conservation in Australia for 33 years, since its inception in 1991. Our mission continues to be to promote and develop plant conservation in Australia, and we achieve this by providing a range of forums for the exchange of information and ideas to connect plant conservation scientists, practitioners and policy makers. And we disseminate plant-related research, on-ground activities and other information to a broad audience. We collaborate on and coordinate high-priority projects and hold plant conservation workshops and webinars. We promote an ecological focus in on-ground conservation, rehabilitation and management of remnant veg, threatened plants and ecological communities. The ANPC conference is our flagship biennial conference, bringing together researchers, government agencies and landholders, NRM and NGO groups, practitioners, policymakers from around Australia to focus on key topics for plant conservation. The theme of this conference recognises how the many little things that we do in science, land management and community-based conservation can grow into the big things that can save our biodiversity heritage. So we will be discussing recent advances and issues in plant conservation and how best to manage these key threats. We will explore new insights into the recovery of native plants after extreme disturbances such as fires and cyclones, the conservation of threatened species and communities, and the emerging new threats from plant diseases in the wild, including myrtle rust. A key part of the APCC14 will be building and strengthening plant conservation networks, in particular in Queensland, including through the relatively new Queensland Threatened Plant Network, the QTPN, coordinated through a partnership between the ANPC and the Queensland Department of Environment, Science and Innovation. So, on behalf of the ANPC, I'd like to thank the major conference partners who have helped to make this event possible, in particular our gold sponsors, the Queensland Government and the Australian National Botanical Gardens, who host our national office, workshop and field partners, the Southern Queensland Landscapes, Biodiversity Council, the Stanthorpe Rare Wildflower Consortium and the Bunya People's Aboriginal Corporation, social event sponsors, our co-op and the University of Queensland. Our speaking sponsors are the Toowoomba Regional Council, Australian Flora Federation and the Bunya People's Aboriginal Corporation. Our trade stall sponsor is the Botanic Gardens of Sydney. Our conference bags sponsors are Cayumbrum Country Cottages, Native Plants Queensland and the Toowoomba Regional Council. So these organisations have recognised the value of supporting the ANPC in facilitating communication and networking amongst scientists, land managers, community groups, government and industry for improved plant conservation in Australia. And of course, it takes a village to get a conference going. And I'd like to thank the efforts of our conference organisation committee, Joe Lynch, Bob Makinson, Daniel McKinnon, Richie Southerton, all from the ANPC. John Hodgkin and Mike Gregory from the Queensland Department of Environment, Science and Innovation. Jen Silcock from the Centre for Biodiversity and Conservation Science at the University of Queensland. Kate Reardon-Smith from the University of Southern Queensland. Jane Thorpe from Stablish, and in addition, thanks to Robert Hawes, our ANPC office volunteer, for all his work supporting the conference.